There's a lot of people who are worried about your kids. Are you guys worried about them?
You still talk as if you're somehow misunderstood. No, wrong. You're fully understood. We see who you are, a manipulator, a liar, and a destroyer. It was 13 years today that JJ's adoption was finalized. I trusted you!
A life filled with unwanted attention. Oh, trauma.
If I was accountable for these crimes, I would acknowledge it, and I would let you know how sorry I was. So I want you to watch, because God will show the world great miracles.
I trusted her with
our baby.
With a life.
With our baby.
That we.
With my little man, you know, I mean, it sense don't make sense. And she knew. All she had to do was call us.
Beautiful women in here that have been here for 8 years because of family tragedies. It's the same like my case. A family tragedy, not a crime. A family tragedy. And they're waiting and they're facing the death penalty for a family tragedy. I know these women. I talk to them every day. I try to uplift, strengthen, and help women in this jail, and I think that's the purpose.
The sound of a cell door closing is different from any other door you've ever heard. Heavy, mechanical, final. It doesn't click, it reverberates. There's no possibility of it opening from the inside. It's the sound of subtraction. In a maximum security facility in Idaho, that sound marks every day for inmate number 140,763. She called herself a goddess, believed she could see beyond mortality, distinguish light beings from dark, make decisions about life and death based on revelations from another realm. But now, in a 9-by-12-foot cell, Lori Vallow faces something she never prepared for. Irrelevance. This is Case Within, where we don't just tell you what happened, we ask what happens after. This isn't about murder, you already know what she did. This is about what comes after. About what happens when someone who built an entire identity on being special becomes just another number. This is about the living death of Lori Vallow. There are photographs of Lori Vallow from before. She's smiling, always smiling, that particular quality some people possess, the ability to make a camera feel like intimacy. Friends described her as magnetic, charismatic. But what she truly excelled at was building a mythology around herself. By the time she met Chad Daybell, a self-published author of apocalyptic prophecies, she'd already cultivated an identity based on being chosen, special. With Chad, it crystallized into something absolute. They developed a complete system, light and dark spirits, people possessed become zombies, a cosmic battle, and crucially, they were the ones who could see it. Her fourth husband was dark, they decided. Her 2 children, 7-year-old JJ and 16-year-old Tylee, dark. Chad's wife Tammy, dark. These weren't metaphors. And by 2019, people they'd labeled as dark started dying. During her 2023 trial in Idaho, as prosecutors presented evidence of 3 murders, Lori sat with perfect posture. She took notes. She occasionally smiled. The media coverage was overwhelming. Her face on every news channel, true crime podcasts dissecting every detail. She wasn't just infamous. She was the center of a national obsession. Even as the evidence mounted, she sat there looking serene, as if she knew something no one else did. The guilty verdicts came, life in prison without parole. She barely reacted. Because in her mind, she hadn't done anything wrong. She'd fulfilled her spiritual mission. The cameras captured her being led away in handcuffs, still with that strange expression. Subscribe, we go deeper than headlines. We stay with cases after the world moves on. Because what the cameras didn't show was what happened next. When Lori Vallow, the woman who'd commanded national attention, became inmate number 140,763, when the mythology had to meet concrete walls and steel bars. The intake process at maximum security is designed for one purpose: strip away everything that made you who you thought you were. Your clothes, your jewelry, your identity. You're photographed, fingerprinted, given a number. For someone like Lori, this is the first death. Maximum security means 23 hours a day in a 9x12 cell, 1 hour out into a larger cage, always monitored. No privacy, ever cameras everywhere. The routine is invariant. Breakfast, count. Lunch, count. Dinner, count. The same day, repeated infinitely. For most people, this breaks them. Long-term isolation causes hallucinations, severe depression, cognitive decline. But for Lori, she retreated deeper into delusion. Letters to supporters describe receiving messages from the other side, visions, confirmations she's on the right path. In her mind, prison isn't punishment, it's a test. She's not inmate 140,763. She's still the goddess. But there's something her belief system can't protect her from: the social hierarchy of prison. Child killers occupy the lowest tier. She can't walk through common areas without undisguised hatred. Women turn away when she sits down. So Lori exists in double isolation, physically confined, socially exiled. Minimal visitors, her family rarely comes. Chad Daybell is on death row in a different facility. They cannot communicate. Every day, that gap between internal narrative and external reality grows wider. Leave a comment. Do you think someone like Lori Vallow can understand what she's lost? Because Idaho was only the beginning. Arizona was waiting. November 2023, Lori was extradited to Arizona. 2 conspiracy charges: the death of Charles Vallow, the attempted murder of Brandon Boudreaux. The legal strategy should have been simple: let your attorneys handle it. But Lori chose to represent herself in both trials. It meant she could talk, be seen, perform. The first trial began April 2025. Lori gave a 47-minute opening statement, rambling, references to religious persecution. Prosecutors presented evidence systematically, text messages discussing how Charles was dark and needed elimination, life insurance records, timeline documentation. Lori cross-examined awkwardly, asked irrelevant questions, made speeches, called no witnesses, presented no evidence. The jury deliberated less than a day: guilty. The second trial was even shorter. Lori again represented herself: no witnesses, no evidence. The jury deliberated 29 minutes: guilty. One of the fastest verdicts in Arizona murder conspiracy history. Between trials, Lori gave a Dateline interview, March 2025. She claimed to receive messages from Jesus Christ, insisted on her innocence, said her children were in a better place. The public reaction wasn't shock, it was exhaustion. By 2025, the novelty had worn off. The story wasn't fascinating anymore. She was performing, but the theater was empty. August 2025, 2 more life sentences. But she already had life without parole in Idaho. These were symbolic. The judge said, "You have shown no remorse. The consequences are irreversible." Media coverage was minimal, a few headlines, nothing like before. She'd become background noise. Hit that like button and share this story. Because the performances were over. Now came the waiting. Let's talk about mathematics. Lori Vallow is 52. Life without parole in Idaho. 2 additional life sentences in Arizona. Average female life expectancy, 81 years. She has roughly 29 years left, in a cell. 10,000 days. There's a reason life without parole is considered harsher than death. Death is an event. Life without parole is a process, dying slowly until everything, youth, health, relevance, has eroded. Psychologists document what long-term incarceration does. Loss of autonomy. You don't choose when to eat, sleep, shower. Collapse of time. Days become indistinguishable, years vanish. And invisibility. At first there's attention, but it fades, new cases emerge. Then you're just another aging woman in a cell. For Lori, who built her identity on being seen, this invisibility is its own death. She's aging in ways she can't control. Prison ages people faster. Minimal outside contact. Phone calls are expensive, monitored. Visits are rare, hours of driving, no privacy. Mail is read before reaching her. Chad Daybell is on death row, awaiting execution. They cannot communicate. Their cosmic romance reduced to two people in separate cages. The irony is biblical. They believed they were chosen for greatness. Instead, both dying in prison, forgotten. Lori still has her beliefs, but beliefs can't change that she'll wake tomorrow in the same cell, and every day after. JJ and Tylee will never grow older than 7 and 16. She will grow old, alone in a cage. Subscribe if you want stories beyond the verdict. Because what comes next is the final erosion. There's a strange thing with notorious criminals over time. First, they dominate headlines, then fascination fades. The audience moves on. And criminals who once commanded attention fade into obscurity. This is happening to Lori Vallow. 2020, national news for weeks. 2023, trial covered extensively. 2025, some attention. Now 2026, mention her name, you get blank stares. She's becoming a footnote, a case study. But not someone anyone thinks about. And this erasure is perhaps the ultimate punishment. Because while she's being forgotten, her victims are remembered. JJ Vallow, 7, a boy who loved to laugh. His name lives on through advocacy. Tylee Ryan, 16, bright, protective, remembered by friends determined to honor who she was. Tammy Daybell, 49, librarian, mother. Her family keeps her memory alive. They are remembered as people. Lori is remembered, if at all, as a monster. But even that requires attention. Inside her cell, she may still believe she's special, but outside, the world has moved on. Prison records show few visitors, minimal correspondence. She exists in almost complete isolation, not just physically, but existentially. The woman who needed to be the center of every story is barely a footnote. What does justice look like? Some say punishment, others say protection. But there's another dimension, restoration of truth. Lori created a mythology about herself, her victims, what happened. Justice means refusing that mythology, insisting on truth, that JJ deserved to grow up, that Tylee had her whole life ahead, that Tammy had value. That Lori Vallow is not a goddess, not chosen. She's a woman who killed her children, and she'll spend her life paying for that. Not through grand punishment, but through slow erosion of everything she thought made her special. Her beauty will fade. Her story will be forgotten. Her name mentioned less and less. One day she'll die in that cell, not dramatically, just another death in the system. The families will go on living, grieving but living, building memorials, honoring who they lost. Lori Vallow will simply cease to exist. And the mythology she created will be replaced by the truth she tried to destroy. That's not revenge. That's justice. If this affected you, share it. Comment, how do we honor victims without feeding killers mythology? This is Case Within. We tell stories that don't end with the verdict. Subscribe, hit the notification bell. And say their names. JJ Vallow, 7 years old. Tylee Ryan, 16 years old. Tammy Daybell, 49 years old. They deserve to be remembered as more than victims, as people who mattered, as people whose lives had value that no delusion could erase. Remember them. Not her,